Hello, my name is Dwayne Kimball, owner and founder of KMD 89, a VA claims consultant, leave no vet behind. And also, I'm a United States veteran. I'm here with a previous and current client, Jeff, who is a United States Marine veteran, Simplified.
Simplified.
All right. How you doing today, Jeff?
Hey man, I'm doing terrific. Hey, thank you for having me on the show, Dwayne. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to do this live testimonial for us today. Definitely appreciate that. So Jeff has been so gracious to do a live testimonial, like I said a few seconds ago, that he's a previous and current client. And we're just going to talk about his experience of the VA claims process, military career, and things like that. And we want to share with other veterans that will see this on YouTube and our website. So Jeff, if you don't mind, can you give us a little bit of background on your when you were on active duty Marine career?
Sure. Dwayne, I did join the Marine Corps back in 1986. And originally I went in as an 0311. For all the Marines out there, we know that as the Marine infantrymen, the ground pounders. That's what I did. That's what was my original MOS. And I was sent from there to barracks duty in Puerto Rico. Did 2 years there. You can imagine being 18 years old and living on the beach for 2 years and doing military police work. I thought it was amazing. But I came back shortly in 1988, and I was asked to go into my platoon commander's office. And he said, "Hey, Corporal Morris, we noticed that you're a pretty squared away Marine, and we have some slots available in Marine Corps Scout Sniper School. Would you be interested?" And I said, "Oh yeah, I would be, but what's that?" They said, "Well, you know the guys that run around with the camouflage on their back, so being 21 and not afraid of anything." I said, "Yeah, I can do that." So I ended up going to Marine Corps Scout Sniper School and got the designation 8541 in 1988. And then shortly after, Dwayne, I was carjacked in 1990. So I never got a chance to serve in the Gulf War. I never got a chance to even really deploy my Scout Sniper School skill set, even though I was trained to do so. And that's why, I became a client, is to really help me get some of the things that I experienced from that carjacking, service connected. And that's how I became a client with you.
Okay. Well, hey, thank you for sharing that with us today, Jeff. And also thank you for your service. Can you can you explain or give a brief synopsis of when you first filed your VA claim? What was that like initially working with the VA?
Well, let me tell you, first of all, for total transparency, I didn't go back for 30 years. I got shot in 1990. I didn't file a claim for almost 30 years, 31 years to be exact. And, being a Marine, Dwayne, and being, in an Army, and we're infantrymen, and we're all about completing the mission. Many of the times, you're not going to stop a mission because your feet hurt or your back hurt or that type of thing. And you don't want to be associated, especially as Marines in the Marine culture, with being a sick bay commando and all of those things. So all of the veterans that are out there, especially you Marines and infantrymen, if that's your case, don't be silly.
Right. Now you said a sick bay commando. Explain that.
So, the term is when you go to sick bay, or the Marine Corps call it sick bay, or you go to the doctors in military terms, too much. You get associated with being weak or not strong enough to do the mission. And as a Marine, infantry guy, you don't want to be, you don't want that attached to your name or to your character. So sick bay commandos is what they call us.
Okay. It's funny you mention that, because when I was in the military, I remember we call, I think you have these in Marines too, platoons. And your platoon sergeant and sometimes your section chief, they'll say, you be hurting, you be like, "Oh man, I need to go to sick call." And they'll say, "Oh, you need to suck it up, not go to sick call." And, like you say, you're young and, you're a hard charger, and you don't want to be that guy in your section or platoon that, is going to sick call all the time. And, even now when I look back on it, I'm like, man, there was so many times, I should have went because I couldn't sleep and now I got sleep apnea, or I should have went because, I hurt my back, or, maybe climbing on top of the vehicle, coming back down, straining, and now that we're no longer in the military and we're filing these claims, that's it could be a big problem if you didn't have it documented while you were in the military, but like you said, 18, 19, 20, 21, you, you are charged. And like you say, you don't want to be that guy. But with that being said, now, when 30 years after, you say you filed a claim 30 years after you got out, did you find that process initially, was it hard? Was it easy? Was it confusing to you? What did you think about that VA claims process when you initially started your claim?
Well, Dwayne, one thing it wasn't, and that was easy. It's very confusing. And so I was service connected for my gunshot wounds, my residuals, when I did get carjacked. I did 18 months of rehab in the hospital. That was all very well documented. So that was an easy part, but I was connected at like 10%. And, like you said, 21, 22, oh yeah, thank you, I appreciate whatever that is, right? But everything that you do in the military has a residual, especially if you're in an infantry position, a paratrooper position, any of those things. When you jump out of a plane, or you fast rope down from a helicopter, you carry a pack, all those things impact what you become as you get older. And so you have to have had those things documented. If you didn't, there's some workarounds. And that's how I came to really to work with you, Dwayne. You were very upfront. You're very transparent about the process. There's a lot of jargon to get your head around. The M21, the CFR, 38, and all those things that you got to try to get your head around. And it's very confusing. And if you don't speak the language that the VA speaks, most likely you'll be shut down, and most likely you'll receive a denial.
Right. Now, I know you mentioned you when you came on as a client. Can you tell the viewers, how did you find KMD 89 Consulting?
Yeah. So after filing an initial claim, I was rewarded service connection for PTSD, but I didn't like the experience, right? So as I was looking for other organizations, I actually signed up with another organization that coaches clients, and that process did not go well, and I was not happy. So I began to just do what I normally do, and that's research, organizations or people that could help me, and I came across KMD 89 on I think it was maybe a webinar or a class that you were giving. I think it was probably called maybe the 5 ways of service connection.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. And, I'm a pretty studious guy. So I said, hey man, I could probably learn a little bit here. So that's how I started my association with you, was your 5 ways of service connection. And I didn't know any of those things. And what was really cool about your experience, Dwayne, was you were very upfront about getting educated as a veteran. It's the number one thing that you can do. And that stuck with me from the very first time I heard you to all the things that we've done since then.
Right. And, you mentioned the 5 ways of service connection in a class was how to be successful in the VA claims process. And it was a 3-hour class. And that was one of the main topics, and veterans, they'll say, hey, I saw this video, I saw that video. And when I'm talking to them, I'll say, well, do you know what the 5 ways of service connection is? And they have no clue. And they already, started the process, and they even service connected for some things. And some, veterans still don't know what the 5 ways of service connection is. But, you hit the nail on the head when you said education. I tell veterans, get educated, get educated, get educated. Because once you get into this process, it can be very daunting and frustrating, at times. And, even if you're fully educated, you're still going to have a certain level of frustration, but it's not going to be as high, right, because you still have the human element. If you have to go to a CMP exam, a compensation and pension exam, you get a particular adjudicator on your rating that's a little bit harder on veterans, that look at things outside the regulation, so those are things that are out of your control. But if you're educated on the guidelines, like you say, the 38 CFR and M21 manual reference, then you'll know exactly what those adjudicators and other VA employees are supposed to do and stay within those particular guidelines. But that leads me to the next question. How did you receive, or what is your overall thought on the educational services that we were able to provide you to be successful?
Well, I said to you recently, Dwayne, and by the way, Dwayne did help me get 100% P&T. And I called him excited like a little kid. We were both kind of jumping around. He was excited, I was excited. But the process was daunting because of the language and all the jargon we had to get our head around. But Dwayne, I said, listen, I don't take everybody for a client. The first thing you need to do is take my class. And if you take the class and you like what I do, then, we'll do an audit. And after the audit, I'll know if I can take you on as a client or not. So I did get that audit, and Dwayne came back with 5 or 6 things that I could be possibly service connected for. And he said, how would you like me to move forward? I said, let's do this, move forward with these service connection possibilities. And from there, Dwayne took his time, and his team took their time, and they gave me an educational packet, right? When I'm telling you that this is like connecting the dots, 1, 2, 3, I just simply follow the directions that Dwayne gave me in my educational packet, right? All of the things that he talked about, I could be service connected for. He gave references for, he gave illustrations for, he talked about how this could possibly impact a C&P exam. So when I went in, Dwayne, remember I had 5 different C&P exams. I felt comfortable in every single one of those exams because I knew what to expect based on your education packet. So I'll just tell everyone listening that if Dwayne is giving you an education packet, right, and you ain't listening or you ain't doing what he told you in the packet, right, well, then you get what you get. But if you will follow those things he says in the packet, you'll probably receive favorable results.
And, that's the thing about our educational packets is they're designed to educate you. Veterans out, they'll call me and say, well, I want you to fill out the document. I want you to, and I'm like, that's not what we do here. We don't represent you. We don't fill out any documents. We don't need to see your e-benefits account. We don't need any of that. Right. Once we understand what you're claiming and we pull in the 38 CFR, the M21, and we have those. I mean, we spent a lot of time just talking on the phone about, 38 CFR, the M21, and what you're doing. So you understand it. So once you enter that process, we're standing in the background saying, hey, all right, it's like, running the 40-yard dash, we're the coach in the back and you're actually doing the sprint, and then you cross that finish line, so if you able to cross the finish line, whether, your maximum benefit is 40%, 50%, or 80, 90, or 100% P&T or whatever, your maximum benefit that you're trying to get, you should be able to get that, based on the education, and knowing that, hey, this is how the VA measure range of motion. So when you go into that back exam, you understand that. You understand what the criteria is for the 10, 20, 30, 40% for whatever you're claiming. And you understand how to reasonably articulate your symptomology. And that's key because, like you stated earlier, the VA language. A lot of veterans can't speak it. And they start throwing things at the wall, hoping something sticks. And sometimes it does. But, I tell people, these are your benefits. You want to understand and be educated how you obtain them. In some of my YouTube videos, I talk about my experiences with the VA claims process. And it's just like everybody else's. And they was like, well, man, you worked at the VA. It should have been easy. and I felt that it was harder, you know. But you know, I was able, you know, to get through it. But I had a lot of frustration, and even when I started KMD 89, I said, man, you know, do I want to be a claims agent? Do I want to represent people, or do I want to educate people? And I decided to go the route to educate people, so they can take that knowledge. And you know, if you have a loved one, a wife or somebody, you should be able to take that knowledge and educate them, you know. So I'm definitely glad that and appreciative that you gave us the opportunity to educate you so you could be able to maximize your benefits. So just in closing, Jeff, is there anything that you would like to share with other veterans that's going to see this video, whether it pertains to the VA claims process, something that, you know, when you may have went to a CMP exam, or just something out of it, maybe the 38 CFR or the M21 that kind of like jumped out at you, like, man, I just didn't know this, you know, in the process?
Well, two things come to mind really quickly, Dwayne. I know we got to wrap up, but the term reasonably articulate the symptomology.
Yeah, and my cohort DJ, he used that in a live stream a couple of months ago, and I told him, I said, man, I'm gonna start using that, because I mean that is dead on, that's spot on.
It was spot on, because I could reasonably articulate my symptomology based on that educational packet to the person that was conducting my CMP exam. Like, I could share with them, like, talk the language that she could translate and put it on the DBQ, like as it is in the DBQ. So that was key. And the last thing I'll share is just like one of the tips she gave me about contacting the White House, right? I mean, I've called the White House now at least 3 or 4 times based on some of your advice. And when the White House get a hold of maybe it's the adjudicator or the regional director, they will call you back. I actually chatted with my adjudicator right the day before they decided my case, because of Dwayne's advice to now get the White House involved. So if Dwayne's coaching you or training you, educating you, please listen, right? It'll make all the difference in the world. You can't do it by yourself most of the time. So thank you, KMD 89. I'm excited for the journey.
Hey, we definitely appreciate that. And I'm just going to close with this note. You mentioned the White House hotline. I even had to use it. And so when I'm talking to veterans, I tell them about that experience, you know, contacting the VA White House hotline, you know, things that I've done to get things rectified, because, you know, it feels like sometimes no one's listening. On the benefit side, it's like no one's listening. Like, hey, I'm sending this, or I have this, and they're saying, well, we don't see it. And it's like it's right here, it's right here. And until you get that person, and even I had to, and I just did a YouTube video, I think my latest one, where I talked about, you know, doing too much, writing too much. What is too much evidence? You know, keeping it short, direct, and to the point. And understand, you know, when you call the White House hotline, it's not to just lay everything on that person. Like, oh, this is everything that's going on. It's just they're not, you know, deciding your claim. You're just giving them that information, your complaint, and then they're forwarding it over to someone to give you a call back. So you want to make sure that it's short, direct, and to the point. And that's what I did. And when that person called back, I knew exactly not only the complaint, but I knew how it could be rectified. And that's what I share. And all the times I've used it, I was able to get it rectified. So when you told me you called them and they called you, I was excited. I was like, really? I was like, you know, how did it go? You know, what? And you laid it out. And you was like, man, I didn't know. And a lot of veterans don't know. And we have to, you know, educate each other on that. So, hey, I'll reiterate, I really appreciate you allowing my organization to educate you. You know, we never met in person. I think this is probably maybe the second time. I know you took a class and now. So you're on the West Coast, I'm on the East Coast, and it's like, you know, how do we connect? But, you know, you took a chance on us, and we definitely appreciate that. And we appreciate your service to our country as well.
Hey, Dwayne, bottom line, brother, you changed my life forever, man. I'm almost in tears right now because my life will never be the same. My wife's and my kids. I got 6 kids, man. We got the black and brown Brady bunch up in here, bro. They'll never be the same, man. So thank you, bro. Thank you, KMD 89. I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely appreciate it. And then thanks again for doing this video. Hey, and we still got some more work to do.
All right, bro. Sounds good. Everybody,
Okay.
take care.
All right. Thank you, Jeff.
All right, way, bro.